Welcome to the Genuine Driven Women podcast, the show where we guide women to reveal their strengths so they believe and can achieve their desired greatness. This is episode 1, and I'm Tammy, along with my co-host Adelaida. Today we are going to tell you our story, why we are here, and then we will talk about how you can find your purpose. We'd like to start with a little bit about us and where we came from and why we're here. My name is Tammy, and I grew up in a very small town in Colorado on the Eastern Plains. And in my small town, the only educated women there were school teachers, at least that I was aware of. And so when I was in high school, if I was going to go to college, I was going to be a school teacher. But the thing is, I started going to college. I went to about one semester, and I just wasn't very excited about it. And one of my friends was talking to a Navy recruiter, and she suggested that I talk to the Navy recruiter, so I did. And I said, I either want to be a famous country music singer or I want to be a school teacher. And he said, well, you can sing and you can teach in the Navy. And so I thought, okay, so I'll join the Navy. And when I joined the Navy, they put me in the advanced electronics program, which made no sense to me. But I was like, okay, that's where I'm going. So luckily, I spent about 2 years learning about advanced electronics, and I ended up being a CTM, a cryptologic technician maintenance person. And then eventually I received a commission as a naval officer, and along the way I learned how to do defense acquisition. So now I retired from the Navy, and then I'm now working as a program manager. And a program manager is just a fancy name for a project manager. And I'm overseeing the development, a major system that will be installed on Navy ships at sea. And I oversee a bunch of engineers and other professionals in the development of the system. And so I've learned a lot going from my small town, the small town girl that I was, to who I am today. And that is one of the reasons and also watching my daughter grow up, and that's been very fascinating, and encouraging her to learn and become the best person she can be. And now, watching her as she goes through college experiences, I really believe that we can help those of you that are out there that haven't yet had the opportunity, that are still trying to figure out who you are, where you're going, and then also trying to figure out how you're going to get there. And that's what we want to help you with.
Hi, I'm Adelaida, and when I was growing up, I would always talk to my mom about who made the most money in a career, and my mom would always tell me a corporate lawyer. So from that moment on, I always wanted to be a corporate lawyer because they made the most money. Growing up, I figured out that maybe being a corporate lawyer wasn't exactly what I wanted to be, and eventually I decided when I was filling out forms for college that I think I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. And I started going to college, and I'm going to San Diego State University, and I realized along the way, a couple years in, that I didn't think that aerospace was the right path for me. So I decided to change to computer engineering, and I decided that for a couple reasons. And one was because I looked up, to my parents a lot, and my mom and dad they dealt with computers in their jobs, and I felt like that would be something that I would want to do too, just because growing up, that's what they were doing as jobs. And so I decided to change to computer engineering, and from there, I realized that maybe I would want to go into the field of cybersecurity. I'm still learning about that, but from talking to some of my dad and some of his friends, I realized that maybe instead of computer engineering, I would want to do computer science. And now I'm working towards a computer science degree, hoping to help the world in the cyber networks.
That's great.
Now to finding your purpose. We are going to give you 5 specific steps you can take to help you find your purpose.
Okay, thanks, Adelaida. The Genuine Driven Women brand was developed to help women, young ladies, and girls become the success that they already know they are. And in our intro, we talk about guiding women to reveal their strengths so they believe and can achieve their desired greatness.
But how do we know that what it is we desire the most? How do we find our purpose? Does everybody have a purpose?
Well, yes, I definitely believe we all have a purpose. Some people believe they were born with their purpose. Some discover their purpose along the way. Probably for most, though, their purpose changes, as they go across life.
Yeah.
Like just like you said, you used to want to be a corporate lawyer when you were 5 years old.
Yes, it definitely changed.
And then, and even as you've been in your, in a few years of college, you've actually changed your major, at least
quite a few times.
So, things change, and that's the way it is. And it's part of this being willing to say, oh, this isn't where I'm going, or this isn't exactly right for me, and being willing to adjust your path, that helps you eventually arrive at your purpose. So I think it's really common, especially with your generation, the millennials.
Millennials, yes.
Which is to say, I think millennials really value purpose in their work. If you more than money, I'm sure they appreciate money just fine.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sure money's fine, but it seems to me like a lot of the millennials I know, I actually work with some, and I feel like a lot of them really want something meaningful out of their work. I mean, what do you think about that?
I definitely agree that, me as a millennial, I feel like whatever I do whatever I decide as a career, I want to make sure that I enjoy it. And it's not, whether it's money or not, now looking back from when I was younger, it doesn't really matter about money. It's more about, am I happy with what I'm doing? Am I enjoying my life with this job? And, whenever I graduate, I hope that I find a job that actually makes me happy and I want to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. And one thing I just want to say to everybody, if you kind of steer your career toward maybe something you really are interested in, or something that makes you happy, that overall your life satisfaction is going to increase.
Yep,
and
I agree.
Yeah, you'll be rewarded with even more motivation and inspiration as you go along your path.
Right, and that makes sense. I think we are ready to find out our purpose. What is the first exercise you recommend?
Well, one of the ways I think you can find your focus and your purpose is to pay attention to the natural topics that you want to talk about every day.
Right, so like the people on Facebook that post about their kittens, maybe they want to be veterinarians.
Exactly.
Yes.
Maybe if somebody posts about their glass of wine every night, they want to be a sommelier.
Yes, maybe.
So yes, but and there's certain topics everybody kind of gravitates toward, and I think that if you kind of pay attention, like you always want to talk about gardening, or you always want to talk about computers, that you might find, that's one clue where you might find your purpose.
Right. So the second method to find your purpose is to identify a person who you admire or see as a role model.
Yeah. This person, the role model, it could be somebody in history,
right,
like maybe Eleanor Roosevelt or Admiral Grace Hopper. She's somebody I admire. She was one of the first, she's kind of like the mother of computers. And so if you don't know her, Adlata, you need to look her up.
I probably should.
And so, anyway, also, it could be somebody you see in a movie. It could be, there's some character. It could be a character. It doesn't even have to be a real person necessarily. If you kind of see something that kind of motivates you. But maybe it's somebody in your own everyday life. Maybe it's your mom. Maybe it's your grandma. Maybe it's, it could be just somebody in your workspace that you say, I want to be like that person.
Right.
So, I don't know, have you seen people in your life that you kind of want to emulate, or even just, or maybe at school, or maybe one of your professors, I don't know.
Well, one of your friends, actually, Emily.
Oh, yeah,
Emily, she's very inspirational, definitely someone I look up to. She's conquered so much in her career in the Navy, and I feel like that she's definitely someone to look up to.
Yeah. Speaking of Emily, I did write a blog post about Emily that I'll be posting, and I will put a link to that in the show notes. So awesome. Emily is somebody that you should look at, and the blog post is called Curiosity and Courage. But if you actually kind of take the notes, study them, and say to yourself, why do I want to be like this person? And then kind of look at the steps that they have taken if they are, for instance, in a goal, like if they are in a career that you want to be in, then what are the steps they've taken to get to that career? Or if you just appreciate their drive, then kind of note their characteristics,
Right.
know. Mm-hmm. So like if you say, oh, I just like how outgoing they are, or I like how brave they are, or I like how,
Right. So another way to find your purpose is to maybe go on something like an adventure.
Yeah, definitely. If you go exploring the world around you, and I mean, I think what I really mean when I say that is, if you sit in your house all day,
yeah,
and you don't really know what your purpose is, and you're just sitting around, Netflixing and chilling. Is that what you millennials say?
Yeah. Netflix and chill is the correct. Yes, the right term. Yeah.
Okay. So if if you just stay in your safe space and don't go and try something new,
right,
then you might miss out on your purpose. And so go take a trip, join clubs. I don't know. Yeah, but there's some.
Yeah. I'm part of a couple clubs. I'm part of IEEE, which is the Institution of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and also part of SWE, which is Society of Women Engineers. And it's really awesome, everything that they do. IEEE, I'm a part of a project there. Basically what we were doing is we were making it was called the Parking Garage Project. And so basically we were trying to tell students on an application on their phone how many spots were left in this one parking garage. And we haven't fully completed it, but it is a work in progress. But yeah, so just different things like that. I joined a couple clubs, I met new people, and it's definitely been awesome, like, and especially the Society of Women Engineers, being able to meet women who are also engineers, who also are going through the same, struggles of trying to be a woman engineer, trying to grow from that, learn from that. Yeah.
Good. Also, I mean, if there's kind of something you always wanted to do, but you've never actually done it before, like maybe you want to go surf or ski or learn to play guitar. I don't know. The internet, I mean, a long time ago, let's say 30 years ago, it would have been harder to do those things.
Right.
But now, if you want to do those things, you can just look it up on the internet and, I don't know, get a Groupon or something.
Or YouTube.
Oh,
YouTube's pretty awesome. Yeah.
That teaches you to do a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And then, but the Groupon, or so, I'm just like that. Oh, learn to surf for $30.
Yeah.
The internet makes it kind of possible to do almost anything you want to do.
Yeah, anything is possible.
Yeah, so go be brave and go try it, and you might find, oh, I really do like this.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what you think. I mean, to me, the first time you do something is always the worst.
Yeah, like starting a podcast with your mom. Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking whenever you're, doing it your first time. Definitely, yeah. Or whenever I joined cross country in high school. I was definitely the first day was very, I was very hesitant to go just because I didn't know any of these people. So,
but then, what about your senior year?
My senior year, I thought, this was the best year ever, and I conquered the cross country team, and it was definitely, I felt on top. Which after 4 years of being part of a group or a club, it definitely you feel more comfortable and more at ease.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you were like a superstar.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, definitely go on an adventure if you get the chance.
Another way to find your purpose is to make a list of your talents and identify the strengths that bring you joy.
Yes. What I would suggest is take a kind of brainstorm or mind map. If you might want to do a mind map.
Right.
This is getting the ideas that you consider that you are talented out. You make a list of them, or you kind of brainstorm them out. Where are your natural strengths? Do you like to talk? Do you like to run? Do you like to be quiet and read? I mean, I don't know. There's there's introverts and extroverts,
right.
And there's just are you a great singer? Are you very detail oriented? There's
right.
Whatever your strengths are. Kind of take make a list of them. Look through that list and see, after all the things you are good at, your strengths. Is there something in there that you really feel? If you kind of prioritize them, is there something in there that really calls out to you?
Yeah. What are some of your talents that you would write down?
A long time ago, I used to think I could sing. But
I still think you can.
Thanks. But these days, I think my talents are bringing people together and team building. I'm a pretty good team builder.
Right.
And also finding strengths that other people have. I'm
Right.
really good at that.
That's good.
At work, I can frequently look at every single person and know what's good about them. I believe I can find something good in every single person.
I agree with that. That is definitely something that you do.
Yeah, and that's a much better way of looking at the world.
It is, yeah. If you look at the good rather than the bad, it definitely is.
Yeah, and so that's my strengths. What are some of your strengths?
I think that I'm very outgoing, so I enjoy talking to people, which is, something if you're trying to network or trying to talk to other people. I also really enjoy being active. I like to go outside and do things and, hiking or running. And I also really enjoy learning new things, like, for instance, programming. I didn't know how to, code at all until I got into college my second year. And, I've really enjoyed learning about that since then.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Those are good examples.
Yeah. So the fifth and final exercise is to brainstorm a list of your own short life mission statements.
So what I mean by mission statements are just like little short phrases that kind of apply to your personal brand, you might say. So I would say write down as many of these mission statements as you can. Just think of, they're a little harder to do than just writing down your own talents,
Right.
But then just kind of let the ideas flow, take a few minutes and just write down several. Try to, if you can get 15 to 20, that's even better. And then look through them and just pick 3 to 5 and then prioritize those. You kind of pick the 5 or 3 best ones and then prioritize them according to what you really think apply to you, your real desires.
Yeah.
Like Oprah Winfrey, I read somewhere that her personal mission statement is to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring her students to be more than they thought they could be. So that's a cool mission statement.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. Some other mission statements. We were brainstorming earlier. What do you think, Adelaida?
Well, one that millennials always like to say is you only live once.
YOLO.
So, yeah, YOLO.
To lead by example.
Let's see, another one. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. To learn through this storm called life.
Yes. Patience is key.
Ooh, success is what you want it to be.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So, those are kind of, we just quickly brainstormed and we're being funny. But if you were seriously doing this and really, you could read some other people's mission statements. You just Google them on the internet. But then focus on what you think about your own ethics and who you really are and then go through this exercise. And I think this exercise is good for a million reasons because it kind of helps you focus on who you really want to be.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful.
And it can give you some guidance as you go through life.
Right.
Successful women back in time.
In the time travel segment each week, we will give a few points about women that have accomplished a lot. We also will discuss a bit about what was happening to women during the time periods. One person we think you would like to know more about is Sally Ride. The reason I chose Sally Ride is because she's such an inspiration to me. My first major going into college was aerospace engineering, and I chose that because I wanted to be an astronaut. And she was the first woman, the first American woman in space. And that is so awesome to me that she did that, and now that's allowed other women to continue on that path of greatness and for them to be able to also go in space. She was born in 1951, and she became the first American woman who traveled to space in the year of 1983. Even though she was an accomplished astronaut, the press still asked her questions like, "Do you weep when things go wrong on the job?" She responded with, "One thing I probably share with everyone else in the astronaut office is composure." When press asked these type of questions that were focused on her being a woman, she was able to divert and explain that she, like all others she worked with, were able to keep their self-control. She proved to many that women could persevere in any field they wanted to. During the 1970s and 80s, women were just starting to gain more control of their own lives and who they wanted to be. In 1970, the no-fault divorce law went through. This made it easier for women to divorce a man who was cheating or abusing them. Also, in the year 1981, the first woman was appointed to the Supreme Court by Ronald Reagan. This trend started to follow, where more women began to be voted into offices more frequently.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I'm just thinking about that time period of 1970s, the 1970s and the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up during that period. As I mentioned, your Grammy was born in 1951.
Right.
And then I was born in the 70s. And I remember the 80s. I remember Sally Ride.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, even though I was growing up in that period of time, I'm pretty amazed at people like Sally Ride at that time. You know, I remember her,
Yeah.
and just the fact that, you know, somebody that's my mom's generation was able to do this is kind of amazing, and what she must have gone through, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. All that hard work that she must have put, you know, to get in this position where she could go up into space.
Yeah, and even though she says things like, everybody in the astronaut corps would keep their composure. I wonder, though, what her experiences were when she was going, like, from high school through college and getting herself into the astronaut corps.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there were people telling her she couldn't do it, that she would not be an astronaut.
Yeah.
That they don't let women be astronauts, you know?
Yep.
And yet, there she was.
Yep.
Not in a time frame like 2018, where women can do anything they want.
Yep.
But in a time frame like the 1970s and 80s, where it was hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's she's a great choice, Adelaida. I love this one.
Thank you. I like her too.
The motivational quote of the week.
The secret to getting ahead is getting started. Sally Berger. So this quote is great to me because if you think to yourself and worry too much about all the bad outcomes of a situation before it even starts, you're not even getting started. And all of those bad thoughts that were in your head could be right or wrong, but you won't know until you get started. Everything could go perfectly. For example, you know, like applying for a job. Mm-hmm. You could just sit there and worry about, oh, they're not going to call me back, or, oh, they're not even going to look at my resume. They'll just, you know, throw it in the trash. Or you could go out and apply. Just go do it. And, you know, odds are you might get a call back. You know, you might get an interview with them. You could even get the job.
Yes. I do think that each one of us are guilty of our own negative self-talk, and we have got to stop it, because usually what is in our mind is about, you know, the outcome of things that we are imagining.
Right.
It's frequently wrong. It's not even sometimes wrong or occasionally wrong. It is frequently wrong.
Yeah.
So usually if you try, you are going to have a much better outcome than you expected. Genuine driven women read lots of books. So we'll make sure to recommend a book each week that will inspire you or help you on your journey to success. This week, the book I'm recommending is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. The Alchemist follows the journey of an Andalusian shepherd boy named Santiago. Now, Santiago believed he was having a recurring dream, and that dream was an omen, and he was driven to find this dream. He asked a fortune teller in a nearby town about the meaning of his dream. The woman interpreted his dream as a prophecy and told the boy that he will discover a treasure at the Egyptian pyramids. And after that, the story gets even more adventurous. I love this book for several reasons. Most of all, it's a story about finding your purpose. It is written in a way that it could represent any of our lives, has an analogy for our own dreams, our challenges, side ventures we may end up on, and yes, our successes too. Overall, I think The Alchemist is a book that a genuine driven woman should read multiple times in her life, and any time that her confidence or her sense of purpose is beginning to wane. This is a very inspirational book. I've put a link in the show notes, and if you buy the book through that link, it will give you all the inspiration you need to get 2018 started off just right, and it will help to get this podcast started off just right as well. We genuinely want to know what you're thinking. This is the section where you ask questions, let us know what's on your mind, or just say hello. Are you driven to succeed? Then email us at genuinedrivenwomen, that's women, WOMEN, at gmail.com, or call us at 724-DRIVEN, the number 2. In other words, that's 724-374-8362, and leave us a voicemail. We will use your voicemails on a future podcast. We look forward to hearing from you. The Genuine Driven Women podcast is produced every week for your inspiration, education, and enjoyment. The show notes and so much more can be found at genuinedrivenwomen.com. Please subscribe to this show via iTunes and Stitcher to receive ongoing weekly motivation to turn your dreams into goals and to reach your version of success. We'd love for you to take a couple minutes to write a review on iTunes, which will help us to reach our goal to connect with girls, young ladies, and women who need just this kind of inspiration every week. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/genuinedrivenwomen. There you can join the conversation, get to know us better, and find out about all the new things that we will be announcing in the months to come. Okay, ladies, it's time to get out there and be the best you that you can be. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.